Hello, it's Lucy Pedder here, dear Lucy. So yesterday I was making cord ties. Look at that, isn't that just the cutest thing? So I've got a birth doula client who's due at the end of this month, at the end of January. And at our last antenatal visit, we were having a conversation about cutting the cord and who's going to cut the cord and how they would like that to happen. And one of the things that came out was that she really doesn't like the idea of a cord clamp. So I've got here one closed and one open. These are the umbilical clamps that your midwife will provide. And they're fine. There's nothing wrong with using these. And the way it works is that, so here I've got my trusty Percy placenta, and this is Simon. So the way it works is that the umbilical cord will be clamped in two places, and then either the midwife or one of the parents or whoever you like can use some umbilical scissors and cut the cord. So on my little model you can see that this comes apart, and then what you're left with is your baby with a cord stump, and one of these clamps will be on the stump like that. Now that's completely fine, it's okay, and lots of parents will just manage that. And don't forget that this entire thing is going to come off. Some parents decide that that's not what they want, so an alternative is to use a cord tie. Now you can buy these or you can make them, or if you have a doula who can crochet, I'll make one for you. So again, this is something for parents to decide to do. As a doula, it's not something that I would apply to an umbilical cord, and parents might want to really take some advice and have a think about how they would like to do that and how to sterilize it and how to make it safe so that they feel comfortable using it. But without further ado, let's go top down and you can see what I got up to yesterday with my crochet. See ya. So my client has chosen green for their cord tie, and I'm going to be using a 2.5mm crochet hook. So this is just standard embroidery floss, embroidery cotton. It is a 100% cotton one, not acrylic or polyester or whatever they make them from. And the reason for that is so that the client can sterilize this. If they want to boil it in water, that'll work perfectly well. So that's the end. Yeah. Okay, I'm sure there's a better end than that. Okay, so for this project, I'm going to do a long tail chain, which means that I'm going to need to start the heart quite a long way into the thread. So I've probably got about 40 centimeters from the end here. And this is where I'm actually going to start my slip knot, my magic circle. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is take the yarn round my fingers like that. So this is the tail end here, and this is the working yarn here. So I'm taking the yarn over my fingers like that, and then on the back here on my knuckles, I'm just going to pick up a loop, and then I'm going to take my crochet hook through that loop there. So you can see here that I've got a circle with my tail end coming out this way and my working end coming out behind me. So I'm just going to chain one at this point to fix my magic circle, and then all of my stitches in this first round are going to go into this magic circle. Okay, so I'm going to chain 2 and then do 2 triple crochets into my magic circle. So for a triple crochet, double crochet in American parlance, but I'm in the UK, so we're triple crocheting. Yarn over, through the magic circle, pick up a loop. That's 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do that twice. Yarn over, through the magic circle, 1, 2, 3. So I've got a chain 2 and 2 triple crochets. Now I'm going to do 3 double crochets through the magic circle. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Now I'm going to do the point at the base of my heart, and that consists of a double, a triple, and a double. So we have a double crochet, a triple crochet, and a double crochet. That's the point at the base of our heart. Doesn't look like much yet, but you'll see that that's what it is. And now we're going to come up the other side of the heart. So I want 3 doubles again. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. And you can see that they're all going into this same magic circle. And now for the hump at the top of my heart on the other side, I want 2 triples. Whoops, 1, 2, and then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to attach that back down into my magic circle with a slip stitch. Okay, so we had chain 2, 2 triples, 3 doubles, double, triple, double, 3 doubles, 2 triples, chain 2, and slip stitch into the magic circle. Okay, so now I'm going to pull on the tail end of my magic circle, and I don't want to tighten it completely, but I do just want to close the gap slightly because we're going into round 2 now. And for round 2, I'm going to start by opening up that first chain 2 space that we made, and I'm going to place 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. Whoops, find my loop. That's 1 and that's 2. Now we're going to work into the stitches. Oh, I've got a tangle, hang on a minute. Really is quite difficult working with this floss. It doesn't want to be unraveled like a ball of yarn. I probably should be sorting that out before I start, but hey. Okay, so I've done my 2 double crochets into my chain 2 space. Now I'm going to find that first top stitch there, and so this is the top of the first of the triple crochets, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So this is the top of the next triple, the second triple. Okay, now we are lining up with that little run of double crochets, and I'm going to do 1 double crochet into each of those double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 3. And now we're into the double, triple, double at the point. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet into that double crochet there, and then this is the triple. So again, I want a double, triple, double into the triple. Then we've got a double on the other side, and then we've got a little run of 3 again. So we go a 1, a 2, and 3. Now here are my 2 triple crochets, so I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that one, and here comes my tangle again, and 2 double crochets into that one. And now we have the chain 2 space at the end. So just like on the other side, I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that space. And now I'm going to find the first little double crochet that I did down here, and I'm going to slip stitch into that And then I'm going to do a little chain 1 there just to secure everything. So hopefully you can see that the heart is starting to take shape. And if I find my long tail here, I'm just going to pull that through so I can take it out, I can start to close this up. And if you do it sort of slowly and gradually and form the heart as you go, I do understand that my thumb is completely in the way here, and you give it a good tug, you should find that you can close the gap, the circle, and what you're left with is a really cute little heart shape with a great big long tail coming out of the center. I can give that a bit more of a tug. Let's close that right up. Sometimes it's, there we go, I felt it. I felt a little bit more pull through, and you can see I really have closed it up now. Okay, so I've got, let's just take stock. Let me sort out a bit more of this mess. Okay, I've got my long tail, ta-da, going into the middle of my heart, and then at the top of my heart I've got my working yarn. Can you see that that's at the top? And a loop. So what I'm going to do now is incorporate this tail and form the actual tie bit of the cord tie. And in order to do that, I'm going to do, I don't know what it's called. Is it a long tail chain stitch? Or is it actually called crochet I-cord? I'm really not sure. I should probably look it up. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold the working yarn as I normally would, as if I were going to continue to crochet. But I'm also going to start to incorporate this bit at the back. Now it's coming from the middle of the heart. So initially I'm just going to have to hold that tension to pull it up nice and tight, but not so tight that we end up with the cord coming out of the back of the middle of the heart. We need it to come out of the top. So I'm just going to hold it here over my middle finger. And what I'm going to do is catch that around my hook. So can you see that I've got 2 loops on my hook, and it's one from the long tail and one from, well, the chain stitch that I did before. And then I'm going to take my working yarn and pull it through both loops. And then again, I take my tail yarn, and we're going over from the outside to the inside, if you like, from the front to the back of the hook. And then when I yarn over on my working yarn, I'm going from the back to the front. So they're kind of moving in opposite directions. And what it does, if you just carry on working it, it gives you a thicker than standard chain, but you can do it in one motion. So you're not having to do a chain and then come back and crochet along it. It's really quick. Look at that. How effective is that? So the only thing to watch for is that you're actually sort of keeping a bit of tension here. So as I grab my work, I'm making sure that I'm trapping the tail there, and then using my hook to take a piece of the working yarn and pull it through both. There we go. So I'm going to continue in this fashion until my cord, my tie effectively, is about sort of 10 to 15 centimeters long. Obviously that's way more than you would need to tie off an umbilical cord, but actually what it does is it gives the parents plenty to work with, and then they can decide how far from the knot, from the actual umbilicus, from the umbilical cord, they want the heart to fall. It just gives your clients a little bit of leeway. Or if you're making this for your own baby, obviously this is a decision you can make for yourself. So while I'm doing this, I just want to talk a little bit about cord ties. So obviously within the NHS here in the UK, standard practice is to use a plastic umbilical clip. And that's fine. That's okay. You can do that. The problem with that is that it might take a little while, 10 days, a week or 10 days for your baby's umbilical cord to drop off, to dry up completely and drop off. And in that time, your baby is going to have the plastic cord clip in their nappy or hanging over their nappy between their tummy and you, getting in the way. It's like having a plastic freezer clip in your pants. It's not good. It's not comfortable. Now, some parents will wait until the cord has dried up, maybe sort of day 2 or day 3, and then trim the cord, actually cut the cord with the clip and remove that piece. And then your baby's just got their drying cord sitting there. But for other people, you might decide that you don't really want the clip at all. And so you can use a cord tie like this, or frankly, just plaited piece of thread to tie off the baby's cord and dispense with the plastic clip altogether. In my experience, what tends to happen actually is that parents do both. So parents will end up with a plastic clip provided by the NHS and a cord tie. And if they tie the cord tie closer to their baby's body and then have the clip on the other side and then cut, then they can then trim the cord down immediately or later, so that they've just got a nice soft cotton cord tie next to their baby. So they haven't got a big plastic clip to deal with. I've just caught a thread there. There we go. Fixed it. Oh, no. Yes, fixed it. So it's an option. The NHS don't really like cord ties. I think that the current NICE guidelines say that they shouldn't be used. And the reason for that is procedural, isn't it? It's about infection risk. The cord clip that your midwife will provide you with will come out of a sealed, sterile bag and go on to your baby. But from that point on, it's no longer sterile. It's no more or less sterile than this cotton cord, right? So you can sterilize these by boiling them in hot water for a few minutes and then store them. You can store your cord tie in a little plastic bag so that, you know, it's never been contaminated. Just make sure that it's fully dry before you seal it up for weeks on end, because it might go a bit manky. It should ideally be dry when it goes on to your baby, but it's not something that you need to overthink, really. Okay, so I'm running out of end here, and my cord tie is plenty long enough. So actually, let's measure it, shall we? Let me just find a ruler. Okay, so this is, okay, plenty long enough. So we're actually looking at 18 centimetres, which is more than enough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just do a single, I'm going to chain one effectively on a single strand of this. And then I'm going to get my scissors. Yes, great big sewing scissors are entirely the appropriate thing to be using right now. And I've just pulled that thread through that stitch to secure there. And then what I tend to do is I take these two ends and I do a really secure knot, like a reef knot. So left over right, right over left, or vice versa. And then I'm going to tuck these ends down through. So if I take my embroidery needle and I'm going to thread both ends through my needle. Come on. Okay, let's try that again. I do find it works best to fold the threads over, give them a really good squish with your fingers, and then just, that's better, and they go through fairly easily. Second time lucky. Right, so I'm going to take my needle, and then I don't want to create a load of bulk or anything, but I do want to secure and hide these ends. So I'm just going to have a look at my, you can really see the shape that we've made here. It's not quite I-cord like you'd get if you were knitting an I-cord, but it's sort of similar and it's kind of good and it's close enough. So I'm just going to take my ends down through the cord for a couple of centimetres, not very far. Come on, and pull those through. Now obviously I don't want to sort of turn it inside out, but I just want to catch there. Take that out. And then let's not use the massive sewing scissors. Let's
Let's use something a little more appropriate for the task at hand. And actually what I tend to do is actually pull slightly further than I need to, so it's slightly gathered, then cut, whoops, and then when I pull back, the ends will actually disappear. How's that? Okay. So there you have it, one little heart-shaped crochet charm, for want of a better word, on the end of a nice, sturdy, not too stretchy, I mean, a little bit stretchy, but not as stretchy as it would have been if I'd chained all the way along and then crocheted all the way back. And this we're going to use around our baby's umbilical cord. And the way to do it, if we imagine that this is our baby's cord, what you're going to do is wrap the cord around twice so that there are effectively 2 loops around the cord, and then you can tie this off. And obviously I'm not going to do this tight because I want to use this, but I would do 1 knot in that direction, and then I would tie back the other way in that direction. So we've got a reef knot, you see, like a box knot, that's also known as. So I'm not going to tighten that up, but hopefully you can see the shape that we've made. So we've got 2 loops on the cord, and that would be a very tight double knot there. And you can see that this is about the right sort of length. I mean, it doesn't need to be this long. When I tighten this up, we're going to end up with quite a lot on this side. Once this knot is tied, that can be trimmed. That's fine. You don't have to worry about that end fraying or anything. It can fray down as far as the knot. It will be fine. So there we go. So this is going to be gifted to my client when I next see her. And I've actually also made a blanket for her baby. So let me just bring you up a little bit. Oh, look, welcome to the mess of my desk. So I've made a crochet blanket for her baby and a little green cord tie to go with it. I will also be making some watercolour affirmations for her as soon as she's told me what she wants them to say. They might be birth affirmations, they might be parenting affirmations, we haven't decided yet. And these are the, I mean, you know, I don't do exactly this for every client, but this is the sort of thing that I do while we're waiting for a baby to arrive. So I hope you found this helpful. The pattern itself is in the description below, and I'll see you soon.